Ladies and gentlemen, fellow televiewers, welcome to the No Conny Talk Show. Today, we are going to talk about something that is very dear to the heart of the Ambazonian people and to the heart of the Biafran people and to Pan-Africanists and people who are sympathetic to oppressed people all across the globe. My name is Capo Daniel. Today is the 11th day of April of the year 2021. This is a special edition of the No Conny Talk Show. We are going to be engaged with the Biafran people increasingly as the alliance is being forged between the Ambazonian Governing Council on behalf of the Ambazonian people and the iPod of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on behalf of the people of the Biafra. So welcome. And I want to greet everybody, those who are going to welcome me in their house through the ACN, the Ambazonian Communication Network across the globe. You are all welcome to this show. The show will run probably about 2 hours, and this is a very, very critical political education to our people of the Biafra, as well as our people of the British Southern Cameroon, now Ambazonia. So I'm going to play music as we do here, traditionally, to welcome all those who are watching us. We are just live on YouTube. Eventually, this will be rebroadcast on ACN for our people to watch due to the difficulties we are having with Facebook as they continue to clamp down and suppress the people of Ambazonia to freely share images that are coming out from our territory following the oppressive and genocidal campaign that the Cameroon government is involved. So I'll play this music and welcome everybody, and we'll go straight into this topic today, which is very, very important and very, very critical. So welcome once more, everybody. I'll take this time to welcome everybody as well as we always do on this show, and greet those who I can see who are live online with me, and to greet those who come later on. I want to greet in particularly our refugees, our IDPs, and our people throughout our national territories and beyond. And I wish you guys all are having a wonderful weekend. So let's go. So ladies and gentlemen, while this song is playing, I'm going to take some time and contact our technical staff. So please enjoy the song and stay tuned to our program today that is focused on the roots of Biafran independence that runs through Ambazonia. So today we are going to talk about collabo between the Ambazonian people and the people of the Biafran land. Welcome everybody, and welcome to my Biafran friends. We are going to be having Biafrans in our audience increasingly as the two people of both countries come together for the first time. We are all excited, and it has been a very, very exciting moment to exchange contacts with the membership of the iPod and having colleagues across the border in the Biafra land. It has been very excited, and this just the future is pregnant. So that was it. That was it for that, our wonderful song, a beautiful song for our African children across the globe. And if you are watching me for the very first time, I have to introduce myself all over again for our friends and our compatriots and now our brothers across in the Biafra land, so that we can work hand in hand as we walk this journey together to Biafra independence and the independence of Southern Cameroon that we call today Ambazonia. It is our will to be called as we want, and we have chosen out of the right of our self-determination to call ourselves Ambazonians after the name of Amba Bay that lies on our shore. Just like the people of the Biafra calls themselves Biafrans, and they don't want to be called Nigerians. And we respect that, and that is how we will be calling it on this show. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Capo Daniel. I am the Deputy Defense Chief of the Ambazonia Defense Forces. I also have worked across the board from the IG of Siseko to the splinter group of the IG. I'm an activist, so I'm a very experienced Ambazonian in this our liberation struggle, and the most credible source of information to you guys. I go by the name Capo Daniel. That is not my official name, but I choose to go by that name. And my names are Ndong Emmanuel Ngong, and my Chinese name, I will not give out my Chinese name. I am based in Hong Kong. The reason why I introduce myself again is because we have many new people from the Biafra that are going to be watching us. We are in this journey together, and we will be providing service for the Biafran people. It's very, very critical for our liberation movement, and it's very, very critical for the liberation of Biafra land. So this show is called the No Connie Talk Show. I speak Pidgin English. That is my first language. And English is my second language, which I adopted due to the history we have in colonization. This language came to us. But I prefer Pidgin because that is a language that more than 90% of our people speak and understand, as well as myself. I grew up in Bamenda. I've been in the Biafra land, and I have a lot of friends in Biafra in the diaspora. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We will be going straight into this very important show today. Is very, very important. As you know very well, the leader of the Biafran people, the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, have had a press briefing together with the leader of Ambazonian War of Liberation, Dr. Cho Ayaba. Both leaders have set the pace for the collaboration of the Biafran people and the people of Ambazonia. You can now see the population of the Biafran, their whole perception have changed, and the people of Ambazonia, their whole perception have changed. The people believe in their leaders and their leadership. These are the most credible leaders. And as surely as it is always the case, you have a lot of paid agents on both sides that will be working so hard to dismantle this collaboration that is critical to the freedom of Biafra and Ambazonia. Today, I will be laying the case of Biafran freedom, Biafran independence, the legal basis of Biafran independence, what all Biafrans must know about a clear path for them to their independence, and what the Ambazonian people must know, because both people are invoking the same principle under international law, the right of self-determination, the right of any people to determine the political outlook of their country and the status of their state. The people of Biafra want separation from Nigeria, as the people of Ambazonia want separation from La République du Cameroon. Both states are subject of international conspiracy to strip them off of their right of self-determination and to keep them as subjugated people. This have been going on for far too long. The never again generation have risen up in the Biafra land and in Ambazonia. For the first time, we have charismatic leaders who speak the language of liberation. For the first time, we have revolutionaries who are not just equipped with military expertise, but are also versed in revolutionary idea. One of the problems we have in Africa is that people are busy trying to put down dictatorship without thinking twice about what type of system they want to build. Today, the people of Ambazonia and Biafra have leadership that have a vision, a clear idea of what they want us to be in the future. So we are not just fighting to tear down, we are fighting to build Biafra, Ambazonia. We are fighting to secure a Pan-African relationship that is going to run across Lagos, Mombasa, to South Africa, to Lukasa, for African freedom, free of colonialism, free from the manipulation, including for the Hausa people and the Fulani people that have been manipulated to be used against their own African brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. That was my opening statement. Before I take you into this program, if you are watching me for the first time and you are in Biafra, know that I don't speak English. I speak Pidgin English. That means my English is Pidgin based. I do not hold myself or bother to speak on the standard of the British Cambridge Dictionary or the American Oxford Dictionary. So I don't wait for some American guy or some British people to tell me what is the meaning of Nyamfuka Ngrombit. I speak my language based on what the common man on the ground have adapted to his own tongue. Because if you look at our history as black people, even in America, the black people do not speak English well because they were not born to speak in English. So Africans should stop wasting their time trying to fine-tune their tongue to speak like the white man so that they will impress their listeners and somehow think that they are smart. If we are in the type of mess we are today, it's because we have people who have been assimilated by the British people, who speak like the British people, dress like the British people, and undermine and have racism against their own people. You look at people who cannot speak English and think that they are stupid and they are not reasonable. Or people who have not gone to formal education and you think that they are not wise. So we minimize our culture. We put down our own local intelligence. I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that in America, there are a lot of people who are homeschooled. And in Africa, we should know that our people who have gone through life experience learn from them and are more smarter in dealing with issues regarding their day-to-day life, calculation of money, science, and technology. We have African herbalists who are not different from doctors. Go to China. I mean, here in Hong Kong, you see Chinese doctors who have never had any formal education, but they are considered as doctors because they respect their tradition, their cultural heritage. That should be the case in Africa. People should not be considered as intelligent just because they have gone to school and have some certificate. After all, they spend their time doing cram work rather than mastering the art of science and technology. Welcome to the No Corny Talk Show. This is a show where we speak the truth, nothing but the truth. Fresh, bold, without fear or favor. So if you are listening to me, you are hearing the truth, nothing but the truth. We are going to hold the leader of the Biafrans and the leader of the Ambazonian people accountable to every word they say. And we pledge to bring to you the Biafran people and the Ambazonian people the truth and nothing but the truth, to do investigation to make sure that the leaders are doing exactly what they promise you and what you are waiting for can truly be attained so that you don't wait in vain. So that is it. We'll go straight to my presentation today of this collabo. I'll first run you down through the press briefing that was given by Dr. Cho Ayaba and Mazi Namdi Kanu, and then I will take you directly into the presentation today, the clear path of Biafran independence through Ambazonia. Biafran will have his independence, Ambazonia will become independent. These are inevitable facts. This is the reality of the war, and Nigeria and Cameroon must accept it. It has come to stay, and I will give you the road map. But first, let me give you a little bit brief reaction to the press conference. So, one of the things I want to tell the people is that throughout our diplomatic endeavors as Ambazonians, wherever we have gone to, the international community have been very, very clear for one thing, that Ambazonian independence will mean independence for the Biafran people. They have been very clear. The Nigerian government have been very clear. They have said it on many occasions that independence for Ambazonia will mean independence for Biafra. Paul Biya have said the same thing, and that is their pitch to convince Nigeria to work with them, by convincing and telling the truth to the Nigerian government that if you allow Ambazonia to be independent, Biafra is going to be independent. The Americans have said the same thing. We were in Spain, in the Basque region, and we went to a secret meeting somewhere in Spain that I cannot put out there, and we met these underground people who could help us in terms of military help, and they told us the same thing, that freedom for us is freedom for Biafra, and the indication is that our movement in Ambazonia has inspired the movement of the Biafran people. Their strategies of holding ghost town, and now the Eastern Security Network, many things have been inspired and precipitated by the Ambazonian uprising. So the Nigerians, the French, the Americans, the African Union, everybody sees it like that. And we are so happy that these two leaders, Nnamdi Kanu and Ayabacho, have been brave to actually realize this truth, that our history, our present, and our future are intrinsically tied together, inseparable. So it is only natural that this union have come together, this alliance have been formed to assist both sides, and we are very excited with the results so far. So we are going to expand our alliance with the Biafran people in terms of the institutions of the IPOD, with the institution of the governing council. Those things will be worked out naturally, as they have already been, those initiations are already going on. So the Biafran people have to know that there will be a formal certification by the Ambazonia Governing Council at one point, and the Biafran IPOD as an institution, because both groups should not rely only on the leadership, but the institutions that empower those leadership must be involved. So we will at some point have certification of this alliance that have been laid in front of everybody. And the Biafran people have to know that the leadership of Nnamdi Kanu and the leadership of Dr. Cho Ayaba have come to a conclusion that is very important. The Biafran people and the Ambazonian people have resolved that they will never allow any tyrant in Aso Rock or in Etudi to torture their people, to maim their people, and kill their people with impunity. We will never allow the repeat of the Biafran war genocide again, and we will never allow the same genocide in Ambazonia without both sides reacting. They should know that. We will have to prosecute this campaign on joint front. That means the Ambazonian people must have to know that we have to fight for the independence of the Biafran people. It is our interest to see Biafran liberated, and the Biafran people will have to know that it is their interest to fight for Ambazonian independence. Those things, we have to put them to our people, and we have to educate them to have this political understanding. The people of the Biafra and the people of Ambazonia, they have both realized the conspiracy to use the Fulani people by both Nigerian and the Cameroon government against the interests of our state. There are Fulani Biafrans, there are Fulani Ambazonians who have been living with our communities for centuries. But the Nigerian government have partnered with Fulanis that are out of that country and Fulanis that are in that country. The same with the Cameroon government to weaponize them against the indigenous people of Ambazonia and the indigenous people of Biafra. Those are the facts. We have seen the killings in Nwa, in Boom, in Ashong. The same killings that are happening in the Biafra land. We have seen Fulani people coming into Ambazonia from Biafra land to attack villages and burn them. In the worst massacre in Garbu, we saw the hand and the participation of Fulani proxy forces hired by Mr. Pobia. So, we as a people will be comfortable with us also having Biafrans fighting alongside Ambazonians and Ambazonian fighting alongside Biafrans. Ambazonian providing a safety net while Biafran doing the same thing on the other side of the border. We have to see so. Pobia have not been shy to use troops from Chad, troops from Congo to attack Ambazonia. Buhari have not been shy of doing the same thing. So both sides have come to realize that we are fighting a common enemy and we must fight as one people using a coordinated activity on both sides. So that is it for that small analysis. That is not the main thing for today. So I'll go directly into our presentation for today, which is very, very crucial. So our people should listen to me very, very carefully, both Ambazonians as well as Biafrans. You have to know certain things. The people of Biafra, they have to know certain things, which is very, very crucial to their independence. You have to know where your rights come from. When you are asking for self-determination, you have to know where it comes from, how it came about, how is it going to apply in your case. The Biafran people are very religious people. They often say that in the Bible that lack of knowledge kills people. It's very important that this case is made to the Biafran people as well as the Ambazonian people, because they are both invoking the same right under international law. So I'm going to do that. Give me a moment. Israel, guys, your voice is getting here. Sorry for that interruption. I'm actually at my home with the kids. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is very critical for the Ambazonian people as well as the Biafra people to know the route to exercise the right of self-defense, of self-determination that they need in their independence. It's very, very critical. So in this presentation, I'm going to share with the Biafra people and the Ambazonian people the legal basis on which our right of self-determination come from, with the hope that by putting together how this international law is constructed, our people are going to be reinforced in their mind regarding their prospect to become free and independent. By seeing what this law means, how it came about, they will know and they will understand what they need to do and who they need to talk to and how they need to conduct themselves so that they will become independent. Political education is very, very important. So this show is very, very important for both sides to know. So it's very important for you to listen and listen carefully. I know that our people in these days, they don't like to read, they don't like things that are knowledgeable, but this is one of those Nivaqueen that you must take. This is one of those bitter pills. So, the indigenous people of Biafra, as well as the Ambazonian people, they will have their independence, not because Nigeria will give Biafra independence or Cameroon will give Ambazonian independence. It is because both people have decided, come to that conclusion by themselves to be free and are willing to go through the labor pain to deliver that freedom for themselves. The international law does not create something that did not exist. The law simply put together realize what is naturally supposed to be. These rights are given by God. These rights are compatible with human nature. So the world just came together to put in writing what ought to be. So I'm talking about the right of indigenous people that is clearly spelled out in the Human Rights Declaration. They call it the UDHR. That's Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That is the base where all the rights of all countries are found in. That is the right where the right of a people comes from. That is the right you are fighting for as Ambazonians and Biafran to exercise. And in knowing that law, you will know how to fight. There is no excuse as ignorant before law. The world as you see today is governed by certain international principles and certain international bodies that you cannot escape. Basically all countries around the globe are part of this international war order, are part of this international system that today is called the United Nations. You have to know the basis of that United Nations and to be able to see your quest through the eyes of the international system so that you can communicate to that system. You can know where to act and where to touch so that you can access your right. The whole international system as you see today is based on one thing, one law, one pillar stone called the Atlantic Charter. The Atlantic Charter is the base of international law, is the cornerstone upon which all human rights law, all rights of the world today is based on. And you have to know how you fit in and how you can access your right from this law. So, before the world created this world order that we call the United Nations Organization, it was everybody for himself. The big can take from the poor, the strong nation can subjugate the weaker nation, they can turn people into slaves and domesticated animals for their own benefit. The Western European country thought that they could do this to other people and get away with it until they realized the Japanese were doing it. The Germans, who were also Europeans, started colonizing European countries, started imposing their will on European countries. And they get into a situation where there will be a cycle of endless war until one nation, one people prevail over all nations, over people. And the Americans, who had learned from their own history in trying to subjugate black people into domestic animals and failed, and come to the realization that all men were born equal, came into the Second World War when the Germans launched an attack against Poland. And they say, there we go again. From First World War to Second World War. Third World War will be inevitable and it will be worse. So, in the middle of the Second World War, in 1939, when Germans launched an attack against Poland and captured Poland, the Americans met with the British and then met with the Soviet Union to agree on certain basic principles that are necessary to stop the cycle of human colonization, barbarism, and endless war. This is what they reduce and call it the Atlantic Charter. In the middle of the Second World War, this country gathered. 1 year after the First World War began, they gathered first in London, where they call the St. James Palace Declaration. The British people first, they gather with the Americans and they discuss about how can we stop war and enable an environment to have a global war where people can live in peace with each other, where no country can conquer another country or invade another country. And they come to an agreement. That agreement happened in June. You have to understand how this thing play out so that you know as Biafrans and you know as Ambazonians what to expect from the international community and what to do in order to get what you expect. So, the First World War started the Second World War started in 1939, and in 1941 in June, the British government and the American government, they gathered in St. James Palace in London, and they come together to agree about how the war can coexist without people fighting each other. After they had that agreement, the next month in July that same year, 1941, they went now with what they call the Anglo-Soviet Declaration, an Anglo-Soviet agreement in July 1941, where the Americans and the British, they met the Soviet Union and they agree on this principle. Like, you know how these white people, American and British people, they want everything to be about them. So they didn't make that thing public. The president of the two states now, Franklin Roosevelt of America and Winston Churchill of the United Kingdom, decided now to go and have a meeting on a Navy base in America, where they come out with the joint statement that is called today the Atlantic Charter, and that eventually was transformed into the Declaration of the United Nations that we have today. So it's very important that you know this, and you know who is more prone to help us as Biafra people and as Ambazonia people. How these things were put together. Remember that the Chinese were not consulted. These people, the Second World War was going on, and they are thinking of how can we achieve peace in the war after we beat Germany. So the Americans had not yet get into that war, but they came into an agreement, a post-World War II agreement with the British people, and then they go to meet the Soviet Union. They come to an agreement that they declared that a joint statement in the Atlantic Charter, called Atlantic Charter. And later on, this Atlantic Charter, they now call what they call the inter-allied acceptance of this agreement, where they brought in now Poland, and most of those countries. The German had beaten most of those countries. So you have the Poland government, which was in exile. You have the Luxembourg government, who was in exile. You have the French did not even have a government. They had what they call the Free France Force. They gathered in London, and then they declared, they call the Inter-Allied Agreement. And then later on, the declaration was named the United Nations Declaration, before the United Nations was formed. So the whole vision of post-Second World War is in this document. The whole design of international law, all human rights declaration, is based on this principle. All the Declaration of Human Rights, woman right, right of a people. When you as Biafran people say indigenous people of Biafra, the right of indigenous people come from this law. So you must know how that law came about, how you fit in, and how to access that power. Because anybody who is suffer injustice, for you to demand for justice, you have to know which law have they wronged you, where do they cheat you. Then you'll be able to ask properly your right under that law, and when you quote that law, you'll be understood and you have your freedom, or at least you have a basis to fight for it. So the Atlantic Charter, which was declared by Winston Churchill and Franklin Roosevelt of America, they resolved in 8 resolutions. And listen very carefully, because this resolution was translated in the charters of the United Nations. The first resolution that the world decided was this: number 1, there should be no territorial aggrandizement. That means no country should expand its border. The American or the British people cannot go and expand their borders, or any other country. The second thing, which is very important, I think, for the Biafra people who find this very important, is no territorial change without respect of the wish of the people. So this one, the second point, talk about territorial integrity. That means any land that already is demarcated, you must respect. You cannot just change it without consulting the people who are living there. So this was agreed. The third resolution, which is very important, which is the resolution that gave birth to the right of a people, states that all people have the right of self-determination. All people have the right of self-determination. But now they did not define who is a people. They were talking about states like the American people, the British people, the French people, the Ambazonian people, the Biafra people, but they did not define what is a people. So for you to know whether you fit that definition of a people, you need to look how they define people in terms of application. And in the international system, the only way that they recognize a people are when the United Nations admit you as a member or they consider you as a country. Then you are a people. But if you fit the same criteria as other countries who are unrecognized countries by the United Nations organization. So just because you are not recognized does not mean that you do not fit the criteria. But the criteria is so broad, because if you say a people, it means that a people in one small village, just about maybe 1,000 people, can you consider them as a people? Because they have a language, they have a land boundary, and they can keep record, they can generate economy activity. Do you consider them a people? So if you start considering people anyhow, you have a country like in Nigeria, have thousands of people. So you cannot give all those people the right of self-determination, because you cannot say a small village will have the right to decide to become independent or not. So the whole intricacy in international law is now, who is a people? So you can go to the other laws and the Human Rights Declaration to find out who is a people. And we of the Ambazonian people, today we have get into alliance with the Biafran people. So we recognize them as a people. And we hope that this will be certified by the Council of Mission of the Ambazonia Governing Council that has 20 country or 20 community across the world of Ambazonians. We hope they will have a general conference and officially recognize the Biafran people as a people. But remember that the Biafran people were recognized previously as a people by Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, and a host of other countries that had recognized them, but it did not translate to the United Nations recognizing them as a state, because Cote d'Ivoire is very far. And they should remember that Ayijo, who was a Fulani president of Cameroon, was the person that killed the state of Biafra by closing the border. So it is very important that the Biafran people have recognition of their immediate neighbor. So if Ambazonia is independent today and we are committed for Biafran independence, our independence will mean a rapid independence for the Biafran people. Definitely it will mean a rapid independence for the people of Biafra, which we have a common history, which we now see as our brothers. Our eyes were blind, but now our eyes are open. We have historic differences with the Biafran people in terms of marginalization, which these are stories that our parents have passed them over to us. When we were together with the Biafran people, you have people like Olusojo, Obasanjo, who were posted in Ambazonia as military men. In Ambazonia, our parents tell us that if you go to a Igbo man market shop, you just touch something, she will hold you that you must buy it, and the police will always support them because the policemen were all Biafran people. So we have those historic worries that our people are complaining that if we run away from Onugu House, Eastern House of Nigeria, why do we want to go back? So we have to explain and confront this fear that the people of Ambazonia have with the fear that the people of Biafra have. That people are thinking that the Biafra people will not respect us. They will look at us and like we are not important, and there is we have suffered discrimination. But we know that the generation of Nnamdi Kanu is a different generation, and we can path a way forward without being afraid to take a look back in our history where we were hurt as a people from the Biafran, and to seek for recognition and apology so that we can move forward. So for those who are interested in this type of things, we will do so in our subsequent show. So number 4 resolution on the Atlantic Charter was the removal of trade barrier. Number 5 was the global cooperation, which ended up with the creation of the World Trade Organization and stuff like that. Number 6 was work for a war-free free of fear and want. That means the whole United Nations should work together to make sure people can live without being afraid. Afraid of what? Political persecution. That because you say you are Biafra, the Nigerian army is going to kill you. Because you say Ambazonian, they will say that you are a terrorist and all those stuff. The war is committed to work for this. There was also number 7 was for freedom of maritime. That means freedom of sailing, traveling around the world. And number 8, which is very important, the 8th resolution talks about the disarmament of oppressor nation and a common disarmament after World War II. That means all these countries, they decided that they will disarm themselves gradually, and they will disarm aggressor nation. That means any nation that is an aggressor against another nation can be disarmed. That's why they will give sanction to a country. They will sanction a country like the Americans have sanctioned Cameroon for carrying out genocide in Ambazonia. And that's why they sanctioned Iraq when they invaded Kuwait. So you have to know how the international system works. Right now, Nigeria and Cameroon are violating all these principles. They are doing territorial aggrandizement for the part of Cameroon. For that of the Biafran, it was done by the British government by cunning means. We will expose that eventually, but for purpose for us to go fast, I will just continue so that our people should understand and understand very well. So after these resolutions were made by the British and French, they declared the Atlantic Charter. They now brought, they call the Inter-Allied Agreement, where they brought in these other countries, including the French people and all these things, to come and agree. So you had this agreement that they call the United Nations Declaration, that include Belgium, the French, and all those people whose government were out already, declaring on, planning on, giving a vision on how the war is going to be after the Second World War. It did not include the Chinese, but the Chinese came in later on when they fight the war, defeating the Japanese. And so you have the Japanese were defeated together with the Germans, the Nazis. They were defeated eventually, and the United Nations, they came together to make those resolutions. That is why they had the Treaty of Versailles, where the Europeans, they go there to sit down and make sure that they draw the borders appropriately that reflects the will of the people. No border was supposed to be changed. If the international community had respected this declaration, there would have been no war in Africa. But the truth of the matter is that after they win the Second World War, the countries like France, Belgium, who have been going around killing Africans like monkeys, they did not believe that we as Africans will deserve equal right like them. So in partitioning Africa, instead for them to recognize the existing people in Africa, recognize the Eastern Nigerians as a state and the Biafran state, instead of recognizing, they did recognize Southern Cameroon anyway. So they recognized Southern Cameroon and Northern Cameroon as they call them the British Southern Cameroon. They gave it under the British trusteeship. The Togoland, they did the same. Eritrea, they did the same. But some certain countries, they go and join them. That's what they call divide and rule, because they needed they call it syncretism, to join two people that cannot join together, so that in this conflict they will come back to them for political power, military support, and they will continue to rule you. So when they talk about divide and rule, it does not necessarily mean that you divide people. That is a divide and and rule. No, the divide and rule is put people in one pot that are divided, then you can dominate them. So they are divided as one country instead to unite people of common identity as one country. They unite them with various countries so that in this midst of confusion, they will strike political deal to maintain power balance, and they will continue to exploit us. So the Biafrans were not recognized as a state as it was supposed to be by the British people early on. On the other side, the Ambazonian people were recognized as a state. We even went to the process of coming out of Enugu, and the United Nations General Assembly voted for our independence to join La République du Cameroun, a union that never happened. So the Biafran people have a clear way for independence still, even though they didn't recognize them as a state or as a country as they supposed to have done. They deserve the right to go back to the international criminal court to push their case of recognition as a state, because the Biafran people were recognized as a separate entity within the whole British Nigeria, the whole territories that were administered by the British people. So they were not supposed to be joined together as one. It was a violation of this principle. Any union that supposed to have brought the Nigerian country together was supposed to be done by, according to this agreement that they already had, by consultation with the people involved. Where do you want to belong? Do you want to be a Nigerian, or you want to remain on your own? This law is supposed to apply not only to the African, not only to the European, it's supposed to apply in Africa. So those injustices are there, they are real, they are tangible, and it is very, very easy for us to fix them. But unfortunately, you are dealing with heavily exploited territories that the world depend upon for the sustenance of their economic and their welfare. So for Nigerians, for Biafran people to separate from Nigeria, they have to exert their uniqueness in Nigerian in the Nigerian Union. I'll call it Nigerian Union because we now recognize the Biafran, and to demonstrate to the Nigerian government that they are not in Nigeria as a willing partner, and they will benefit a lot from what we as Ambazonian have already accomplished. A benefit that is going to directly affect our chances as Ambazonia. We will bring to the Biafran people strategies that have worked and that we have tested in Ambazonia. And they are going to bring to us as well a lot of things. They have a vested interest in our independence. The challenges are enormous. It's not a walk in the park. They have joint commission that are going to look into those policies and see that the Biafran people are indeed in the right mindset to separate. They should not pursue the goal of independence by pursuing it like it is an agitation. No. A declaration has to be made for Biafran independence at a point. They have to make clear that their battle is not only about Fulani herdsmen. What the Fulani herdsmen are doing to the Biafrans are only a symptoms of the denial of the right of self-determination for the Biafran people. They have to go for the real solution, which is outright independence for the Biafran people. This is not going to be like it was before. Before, during the time of the Biafran War, there was a system of blackness where they could kill millions of people and nobody would know about it. The Biafran people need to believe in their ability to beat Nigeria in Biafra land. The Biafra people need to understand that all Nigerian government officials who are on their territory now, at some point, they have to resolve to send them back to their country. They have to stop relying on Nigerian government institutions. They have to take control of their borders, take control of their administration, take control of their security, and do not go and beg for Buhari security. Do not go to beg for their colonial governor security. Nigerians have to go through an emancipation campaign that we as Ambazonian will have to help them directly. They have to educate their people to emancipate themselves and do not expect anything from somebody who cannot give it to you. Why do you want Nigerian government to help you with security? Why? Do you think Nigeria is there to help you? They are there to exploit you. Why expect a governor who is your own son to work for a Nigerian government and then not serve the interests of the Nigerian government who wants to empower the Fulani people to keep you where you are? You cannot do that. He who pays the piper determines the tune. The Nigerian government, so long as they are paying for your security, so long as they control your governor, so long as they control your street, they control your movement, they control your food, they control whatever you do, they don't have any interest to let you go. They need your petrol. They need the Delta Niger region. They need their petrol. They don't love you. They will not pretend that they love you. It will be foolish for you to seek their love. They will never give you their love. You have a brother in Ambazonia. The only brother in that neighborhood who is going to receive you in his home. Come to us in Ambazonia and stay in our camp. Come to us for water. Come to us when you are thirsty for treatment, and we will give you a place to rest. We will take care of your wounds. We will teach you our strategy. And even if it means that we will cross the border and fight with you, we will do the same. We will do it to you. Because we have acknowledged today that we have a common enemy and a common future. The independent Ambazonia and an independent Biafra will be the stability of the Gulf of Guinea. The Ambazonian people and the Biafra people must send a clear message to the international system. There will be no peace without justice. For the injustice that was done on the Biafra people, when all their rights that were guaranteed in the Atlantic Charter and in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights were set aside by the British people without any consent, they were forced into a union with a people that were being controlled by puppet president, with an army that engineers Fulani, fellow black people, happy slaves, with cutlasses, machetes, machine gun on horseback to slaughter our father and our mother in the Biafra land. It has to come to an end. The never again generation have risen up. The leadership of Nnamdi Kanu is a blessing for the Biafran people. As you believe so much in God, we will be asking you as Ambazonians to believe more in strategy. Just as you believe in your God. Believe in strategy. Believe in yourself. Do not rely on Nigeria. Do not wait for the international community. The international community would only acknowledge what you can do. You must send a clear message to the power that be in Aso Rock and in Etudi, that you are willing to fight for Ambazonia, because that will mean freedom for you. Ambazonia must tell Nigeria, we are willing to fight for Biafra. If we cannot fight for Biafra, why would they help us? Why will anybody respect us? If Biafra cannot fight with Ambazonia, why will anybody respect them? Two of you are suffering, and instead of you to work together to fight your independence, everybody put his head on the sand and is focusing on one way, the other one is focusing on another way. When the two elephants in the room are afraid of this unity, the Nigerians government and the Cameroon government are afraid of this unity, because they know that once we come together, Ambazonian people are going to give the legitimacy to the Biafran people that they would never expect. The recognition that they would never expect. So we have come together. What we are doing today is divine. Is something that is supernatural. We have rekindled the spirit of Pan-Africanism. The spirit that made us to support the fight against apartheid. The spirit of the people of Mombasa that supported the fight against apartheid. The spirit in the people of Zambia that recognizes the Biafran people have been rekindled. Of Somalia that recognizes them have been rekindled. What we should know is that if some white leaders who were not even running government in their country, they were in exile, like the Free France Force, the Luxembourg government, the Polish government, who were all diasporans, they sat together and come to an agreement that is governing the war. that have shaped the war, then we, the people of Ambazonia and the people of Biafra, we have that same capability. We cannot minimize ourselves. The agreements made by our leaders that will be reduced to to be certified by both organizations will guide and lead our people forever. Today is a big day for the two brothers who have come together to chart the way forward that is going to be a document to inspire all Africans to spell out common grounds, not only during the liberation phase, but to design a document that is going to govern Biafra and Ambazonia relationship for 1,000 years to come. This is possible. You have seen how few states have decided on the fate of the entire war. We have to know that what they agree today will be accepted in heaven. Let me put language that Biafra people or my Igbo brothers will understand. What we accepted today, we decree today, will be decreed in heaven. And the Biafran people, through their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and the Ambazonian people, through their leader, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, have decreed, have declared an alliance for the preservation of our human dignity. Remember, this agreement, this alliance is to protect our dignity. That means there will be no way we will sit on this side of the border and see and allow Biafran people to be subjugated. It will never happen again. We will join them in their battle, and they will join us in our battle. Remember that the Americans, the U.S. Anglo agreement governs how the American deals with the British, the American deals with the Australian. So if the Australian have problem today, the Americans will go and fight with them. They will go and fight with them. We will have the same agreement with the Biafrans to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. It's either we survive together or we perish together. We tile our common destiny. All those colonialists who are being paid agent amongst our ranks, who are agitating, trying to invoke, oh, what is going to happen with the refugees? What is going to happen? Nigeria is going to do what? Cameroon is going to do what? They cannot do to us what they have never done. It is for our common interests that we come into this partnership to go forward. So stay tuned. We'll continue to bring to you revolutionary words and to show you a clear path on how the people of the Biafra have to take back their land and take control from Nigeria. The clock is ticking. No more empty speeches anymore for the Biafran people. We want action on the ground. We want emancipation, not agitation. This alignment is not for people to go and be asking for referendum. You want to get referendum in Nigeria, you go to take lawyers here, take lawyers there. No. The Biafran people have to stop Nigerian exploitation of their land, because they take that exploitation, take the money, go and buy weapons to come and kill their children, to give Fulani people and they kill their children. It's like carrying water in the basket. Waiting for a referendum is like carrying water in a basket. Waiting for Nigerian government to act is like carrying water in the basket and waiting for it to get full. Biafra people cannot wait forever. They have to start now. Let the unknown gunmen continue their good job. The strategies are already working out, and I don't have to spill everything here because of restriction from the Ambazonia Defense Forces. We are restricted to say a lot of things. But the unknown gunmen is the future. And the people of the Biafra land should brace themselves for the pain of delivery. Just like we are going through. The pain of delivery is coming. The time have come for the Biafran people to sit down together and resolve for their independence. God bless you. May independent, civil liberty, democracy be in an independent state of Biafra as well as an independent state of Ambazonia. God bless you all. Bye-bye.